The manga we're focusing on today is another banger you might have missed. But unlike the majority of my recommendations, this one is less heavy on the shonen vibes. Nah, this story is hella dark and hella gruesome. Like if you're a fan of works like Berserk or Attack on Titan, you've come to the right place. So without much further ado, let's dive into the raw, brutal world of Oblivion Rouge. But before we continue, quick reminder that we have a huge sale going on the merch website. From now until the end of December, everything in the store is 25% off, and if you pay $60 or more, you get 35% off instead. Link to the website is in the description below, or you can just go below the video and you should see all my merch lined up there for you. Also, huge shout out to Pap Souleye Fall for sharing their amazing manga with me. It's truly a blessing to talk about all these creations for a living. And for the people watching, if you're curious about the creation of this manga, I was able to ask the author a few questions, so stay tuned to the end to get more insight on how this whole thing was brought about. But with that, on to Oblivion Rouge. The story takes place on the continent of Kafuri in the year 2121. Originally, things were chill here. The people here were blessed with god-tier technology and the land was perfect for agriculture. But everything changed once a loot plague was born in the country of Liam. This tumor-like plague that's able to consume the whole host took over the continent by storm, leaving only one country untouched, Galum. So with humanity on the brink of extinction due to this plague, many refugees from Liam tried to move to Galum to stay safe. But the country wasn't having that. Their rebel army, known as the Hells, made it their mission to kill off any immigrants trying to cross their border. Homies were like, we clean, y'all can stay the fuck over there. So in response, a mysterious military group known as the Hakkanen appear out of nowhere to try and save the refugees. In Umek, a region between Liam and Galum, they set up this huge underground base known as the Warplands. And immigrants affected by the plague stay in these capsules to stay away from further infection. Enter our protagonist, Umi, a young girl from Umek. However, the odd thing about Umi is that she shares no blood ties with anyone here. She has a caretaker who she calls father, but they're not related. And on top of that, the griot, the leader of this village and the father's brother, believes she's the reason why the plague started. Which already had me asking questions because not only is she an orphan with a mysterious past, but you have the leader of this village saying she brought about the plague. I don't know, seems pretty sus. Anyway, because the griot believes Umi's responsible for the plague, she's kind of an outcast in the village. Her father's basically her only company. But all that changes when one day, unknown forces pull up to Umek. And though the way they enter this place looks sus as fuck, it turns out this is the Hakkanen. They come donning this crazy futuristic armor that definitely gives me Ben 10 vibes. Like y'all remember his alien upgrade? Tell me these guys don't look like they have the upgrade armor on them right now. Also, one quick thing I want to know here. I really fucking love how color is used in this manga. Like, I feel like because of the content, I understand why a lot of it is grayscale. This is not supposed to be a happy manga. It's supposed to be dark like this. But the green here adds a sense of mystery. Like, who are these guys? What are they really here for? The overall art style is also really good, but yeah, I just want to comment on how I love this unique use of color. Anyway, with these intruders here, the whole village starts tweaking. For good reason too, because the Hells have been killing their people for a while, so I'm sure they don't trust anybody. But the person who tweaks the most is Umi's dad, who's dead set on getting Umi out of here for reasons we're not sure about. The people in the village are ready for the smoke though, but the Hakkanen shows that they mean no harm. In fact, one of the soldiers says, we're actually here to rescue y'all. And he reveals that they made a possible cure to the plague. But once again, the villagers are sus, like, this could be anything. An enemy could easily enter their village and say the same thing. How do they know they can trust them? But when the griot pulls up, even though he thinks this is sus, he's like, I can't just pass on this offer. Like, what if it actually is a cure? So he talks to the Hakkanen soldier and he's like, I'll take it. But one of the soldiers in the village is like, hey, if this shit does not work, I'ma murk your ass. And the soldier is not trying to fight back. He's like, listen, if your boss dies from this, y'all can kill me right now. I will not fight back. So with that peace of mind, the griot takes the cure and he actually gets cured. With that, the whole village is hyped. They're all like, we're gonna be saved, bro. It's lit. But then the Hakkanen soldier's like, where do you bury your dead? And the griot's like, in the forest. And once he says that, we cut to the forest where Umi and her father are running away from the village. But Umi's confused as fuck. She's like, bro, why are you manhandling me like this? She tries pulling away, wanting to go home, but then her father starts tweaking OD, bro. The plague pretty much takes over his whole body, making him completely disfigured. And then it seems like the dead from the forest come back to life and try to consume her along with her father. And bruh, this scene is horrific. Like the same way they used the green to add mystery in the last scene, they used a bunch of red to just add horror. Like a second ago, this is her father. Now homie's low-key trying to kill her. But then this also had me thinking about how the griot was like, Umi caused this plague. So I was like, wait, what if Umi's the one causing this? Maybe somehow she's linked linked to this plague, and because she was panicking, she caused the plague to like erupt on her father or some shit. I don't know, I'm just making assumptions, but let's continue. So Umi's getting consumed, and right when all hope seems lost, luckily one of the soldiers comes in and saves her ass. When everything clears, it turns out that her father died from this incident. And now the griot death does not fuck with Umi. He's like, bro, it is her fault. She did this shit. And poor Umi, who has no idea what's going on, is stuck in a trance. But she hears this voice saying that it's okay because it will protect her, and that she's special, and that this loss will only make her stronger. So to me, I can only assume this is the plague talking to her, or whatever actually caused the plague talking to her. But with that, we time skip 15 years. Umi is now way more edgy, for good reason, because she lost her father and her whole village blamed it on her. And now she's with the Hakunen going through brutal training to become a runner, basically someone who saves the refugees who have the look plague. And I say the training is brutal mainly because of how the power system works in this manga. So their form of energy is known as Ka. It's basically a shadow of themselves, their second self. With training, you can learn to mold your Ka into different things like weapons and the sort. And the Hakunen special armor known as second skin morphs according to how you change your Ka. However, the problem is that if you morph your Ka too much to the point where you forget what it's supposed to look like, it could lead to you losing yourself and getting ripped apart. So your own power source is a double-edged sword, which kind of sucks. However, I will say I find this power system very interesting. But that, along with your usual anime physical military training, is what Umi has been going through for the last 15 years. But she's not alone. She has her new friend, Isa, who doesn't know much about her past for reasons we don't know, and her other friend, Benskin, who's honestly just extremely terrified of this whole training process and becoming a runner in general. Also, I had this whole bit where I was gonna roast him for his name, but I want to do some research just in case. I didn't want to insult anybody's culture. And I found out that Benskin is a genre of urban Cameroonian pop music. So boom, instead of hearing my bad jokes, you learn something new about Cameroonian culture. Anyway, right now, Umi and the squad are prepping for their final test to be initiated into the Hakunen. With Umi being the most ready, bro. She is dead set on mastering the second skin armor so that she can body anybody who gets in her way. But as they're chilling, some other trainee named Galas starts talking shit about Umi. Before this, Umi was coming at Benskin for being afraid about all this and how if he's too scared, he should never join this thing in the first place. And from hearing this, Galas is like, oh, you want to sound all high and mighty, but you act like your shit don't stick too. Apparently this guy is from the same village as Umi, and he reveals that they all thought she was the reason for the plague. So Umi comes at him and is like, yo, I'm sick of y'all trying to blame me for this shit. It's dumb. The plague is here. What does it matter who started it? We're trying to cure it, right? But then Galas raises a very good point. He's like, then explain to me how you have shown no symptoms yet. And that leaves Umi shook because though as a kid you're less likely to show symptoms, she's getting much older now and she hasn't shown a little bit of symptoms, like not even once. But before this argument can get any more intense, Umi and her friends are called in for a special announcement. There, they and the other trainees are met by a Hakunen admiral. And he basically tells them, look, the plague is getting worse and the hells are even more of a problem. So before this, I thought they were just a regular rebel army, but apparently they are much more than that. I'm not sure if it's because of the plague or what, but now they're not even human. They're basically immortal and they can regrow their limbs when they lose them. Then he shows a clip of a hell's attack and we see first person just how devastating these things are. Like this must have been what it felt like in Attack on Titan when a scout saw a Titan for the first time. How are we even supposed to fight that thing? Like I understand we have Ka and the second skin armor or whatever, but if these things are practically immortal, how the fuck do you beat that? So as you can see, this is a manga where the characters are gonna be in a very steep uphill battle. But after that whole announcement, Homie drops the biggest bomb of all. They're having the Hakunen final exams earlier than expected because they need these soldiers now. It turns out there are only 3 admirals here, and these are the only guys who are able to use the second skin armor to their fullest potential. So you have an army being led by 3 carries. And everyone else is just kind of fodder because if you don't know how to use second skin armor, what are you really doing here? So to show that scene of the Hell's Army bodying their allies, along with saying, hey, you're gonna have to get ready for this test way sooner, must have had everyone stressed, bro. I know I'd be. Honestly, even if the plague is a danger, I would probably just dip. I'm not ready for the violence, bro. I'm going home. So after the announcement, Umi's met by Galas again, and he shares more disturbing information. He revealed that he knows she's the reason why her father died, but apparently she's also the reason why somebody else died, some kid named Muhammad. And hearing this news leaves Umi shook, which means I know this shit is important. Then Galas leaves, starting to to tell her friends about all this shit during the exams. With that, the test begins with 50 of the trainees going into their examination room. And I will say, seeing this whole lineup gave me heavy tuning exam vibes. Like, this felt like right before they were gonna go into the forest of death, and you're about to see why. With everyone here, the admirals revealed the instructions for this test. The 50 trainees here are gonna be divided into 10 teams of 5, and they have to face against each other while running away from all the admirals who will be chasing them non-stop. But the kicker to all this is that each trainee will be given a pin on the back of their suit, but if the pin is pulled, they'll be injected with a lethal poison that not only paralyzes them, but kills them in 3 minutes. Now people, when I heard this, I was like, okay, but like, y'all obviously have a plan for saving these kids, right? Because from what it sounds like, y'all need all the hands you can get for the hells and the look plague, so like, why would you purposely kill your trainees? But after explaining the rules, giving out their second skin armor, and divvying them out into teams, one of the admirals says, and I quote, "You may kill each other now." And what kills me is that one of the students is deadass like, wait, you mean like right now? Like, hold up, were y'all serious? Like, did y'all actually want us to pull these pins out of each other and poison each other on purpose? But remember in the beginning when I said this one is not heavy on the shonen vibes? Remember that shit, because the power of friendship don't mean shit here, bro. Deadass, the moment the shit starts, some girl named Nia pulls the tag on one of the trainees, and homie fucking dies. And tell me how this girl Nia's dead like, I just want to see what would happen. Girl, what? You heard these guys say, this shit delivers a lethal poison in your body that will paralyze you and kill you in 3 minutes. And you thought to test that theory? Why? But with that, the bloodbath begins, and bro, these guys start going off like they want to kill each other this whole time. And then one of the admirals, she gets hype and she's like, alright, time for me to flex. And she jumps in the middle of the battlefield with no second skin armor, might I add, and crushes the whole platform. This leads to almost everyone falling and getting separated. And what follows is fucking horrifying, bro. Like, I know I already talked about how it's crazy how these kids are killing each other, but like, we're just given so many brutal scenes of the trainees smiling while ending other trainees' lives. Like, it gives me Lord of the Flies vibes, and it's so fucking crazy. But that's honestly one of the reasons why I could not stop reading this shit. And if you want to find out what happens next, you're gonna have to read the manga for yourself too. I know y'all hate it when I do these cliffhangers, but trust me, you will thank me later when you get to experience the rest of this shit blind, because it only gets wilder. But with that, as promised, let's get into the questions that I asked Pap Souleye Fall about this manga. So the first thing I noticed was that the look plague seemed very similar to leprosy, the actual real plague that ravaged a lot of the world back in the day and still affects the world now. So I asked if the look plague was based off of leprosy, and his response was, yeah, it is closely related to that. I wanted something that emerged from within the people, something that would incapacitate them. There's more to the way that the loop works, which will develop as the story goes on. I just like the idea that our past and future sometimes feels like a plague of some sort, as if the present is some kind of struggle to survive. Originally, I was looking at the way the Ebola crisis happened and made the Western world stigmatize a lot of West African countries and uninhabitable. The word lup is the well-off translation of everything. It's developed into this double meaning while I was writing the story. The next question I asked was why he chose to go the child soldier route. While reading this, I thought it was a representation of the child soldier issue in many African countries. According to worldvision.ca, roughly 40% of the world's child soldiers come from Africa. By the way, there is much more to this topic than what I'm saying, so I implore you to do more research if you want to learn more. Worldvision.ca also has a place where you can donate if you want to help kids in need. So I was wondering if that inspired the kids here being so ready for the smoke even though they're so young. His response was, yeah, I think I was prying a little bit towards the idea of child soldier, but I was also thinking of Hunter x Hunter, Ender's Game, Beasts of No Nation, First I Took My Father, Attack on Titan, and Naruto. All these younger kids are given these grown-up responsibilities and are trained to fight the wars of the past. And I always kind of found being in the school system in the US to be very strange and panoptical. The same design used to build prisons in the States is the same for schools, so it made me think differently about what sort of indoctrination are we willing to live with, and how do we unlearn those things. It ain't gonna be easy, but it's necessary. And for my last question, pretty basic, I just want to know what inspired them to create Oblivion Rouge. I was also curious to know why they chose a seinen route when I saw a lot of things that could have turned this into a shonen. And his response was, I've always liked seinen manga because it was able to take complex ideas and make them into manga with a more dark twist for mature audiences. But I grew up with a lot of shonen, so Attack on Titan and Chainsaw Man, which are a mix between shonen and seinen, made sense for me. I'd say OR is shonen into seinen, and I've had a huge influence from Berserk, Akira, and Hayao Miyazaki. And I completely get that response because I do feel like sometimes shonens can be limiting, but works that combine shonen and seinen themes like Attack on Titan and Chainsaw Man just feel more free. But with that, I'm sure you're wondering, how the hell do I read this masterpiece Oblivion Rouge? Well, this manga is actually published by Saturday AM. If you didn't already know, Saturday AM is a manga anthology magazine holding manga written by a bunch of diverse creators. Other works from there include Hammer, Clock Strikers, which I definitely need to read really soon, and Apple Black, which I also need to read really soon. You could hop onto the website and read it there. I'll put the link in the description below, or you can buy the physical book because the author got blessed with a book deal, fam. Volume 1 is already available and Volume 2 is on the way, so if you're trying to hop on this shit early, get on it, fam. But with that being said, y'all, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Hit that like if you liked the video. Comment what other manga or manhwa you want to see me cover like this. Subscribe if you want to see more of me, and hit that bell to stay notified of all the new content I produce. Huge shout out to my patrons for their monthly donations. I could not make content like this without you guys. And once again, shout out to Pap Souleye Fall for allowing me to review their manga. With that being said, be easy, stay lit, stay healthy out there, Black Lives Matter, and don't forget, you can do whatever the hell you put your mind to. All it takes is practice and time. Peace out, y'all.